Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Volaring. Well, most unfortunately, the banditry, spate of banditry around the country, is not letting up. In Kaduna in particular, there have been incidents, so it seems to be continuing. Overnight, we hear that there was an attack on the ECWA church and 2 were killed. But even before then, let's just play this report so you get some sort of a perspective on what's going on. I'll come back to the studio and tell you about my guest.
Gathered here are Christian faithful in Kaduna State. They are here to pray for peace in the nation and to thank God for keeping Nigeria united despite security challenges. The Christian leaders say the recent move by the Nigerian military to eliminate banditry is highly commendable. They want the same extended to other northern states bedeviled by banditry.
If the federal government is concentrating on fighting banditry in Zamfara, Katsina, and Niger states, I equally want to call on the federal government to extend that to Kaduna State, and especially the southern part of Kaduna State, because without peace, we cannot progress.
There's no nation where there are no problems. We are to face these problems and then contend with them and ask for God's help, and then be sincere to one another.
On the recent arrest of the masterminds of Bethel Baptist students' abduction in Kaduna, the clerics want the government to intensify efforts to rescue the remaining students and others in captivity.
But it's unfortunate, many of them are lavishing in the forest today. They are not in the school, they are in the forest, and the government is doing nothing to support these parents so that they can execute the responsibility God is giving them. And it's very, very unfortunate. So
if government want to live up to their responsibility, they have a moral duty to the citizens of Nigeria not to allow parents to be in pain, to be in shock, to be in trauma. Government must carry out its responsibility.
At least 11 abducted Bethel Baptist School students are still in the bandits' custody. Men of the Nigerian police last week arrested 3 of the abductors and say they are on the trail of others. Lupe Asom, TVC News, Kaduna.
Well, that's some sort of a background, because after that went out on our news yesterday. Then we hear that gunmen still attacked the place and killed, one worshipper. You know, these figures, you don't really know what the figures are in the midst of all the confusion. But one, at least, was reportedly killed. One worshipper at the ECWA church in Kachia local government. Okay, my guest this morning in studio here is Dr. Tony Ofoyetan, DG International Institute of Professional Security. Tony, thanks a million for coming.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Our pleasure, sir. And we also have remotely Mr. Dennis Amakhree, security consultant and former assistant director of DSS. Dennis, it's great to see you, speak with you.
Good morning, Yori.
From across the Atlantic. I won't be more specific.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Big Boss. Good morning.
Maybe let me just start with you, Tony, over there. I mean, you would have thought that the security situation would be getting better, meaning we'll be hearing less. And as you saw, the angry, elders in that film saying that, implying that government is not living up to its responsibility. What seems to be the problem in Kaduna?
Yori, is that for me?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Oh, okay. If we just go back a little bit on history of current events, of course, you know that the governor originally used to appease these bandits, and it was like protection money. And then, of course, anytime he gives them the money, they use it to go and buy more arms and attack people. And then he decided that he was not going to pay again. And then, of course, they turned around against him. And then, of course, started attacking all the schools. He was forced to even withdraw his son from the school, from one of the public schools there. And at present, as we are talking right now, about 5,000 schools are closed in Kaduna State. So it's a long-running thing. And of course, right now you see the Baptist school children being released in piecemeal. What does that tell you? It tells you that the parents have to go and sell their land, sell their property, and they are paying the bandits, and the bandits are releasing them, in batches. So the 11 remaining now, when the parents have more money, they will come and get them out again, because the government is not paying again. So you see, this is very painful to parents. And then, of course, painful to the students themselves, especially the female ones, whom they've kept there and abused and used, So it's something that I think we need to re-strategize. If you say you're not going to pay ransom, I agree totally with that, but make sure that the bandits don't have any breathing space. And I think that's what they should do at this time.
Okay, Tony, exactly. The bandits seem to have all the breathing space that they need. As Tony was saying, one would have expected.
Dennis. As Dennis was saying.
Yes, that he was saying, but I'm now directing the question to you.
Okay.
That why would, what is the problem with our being able to do what he has suggested? That seems to be the logical way to go. This connects itself up with another aspect that we've often talked about, which is the Nigerian army and all those other people concerned with security are not without capabilities. But how does all of this make it seem as if that precisely is indeed the case? These people are without capabilities, or these bandits wouldn't be running rings all around them?
Well, I think I'll look at it from various perspectives. Look at the political aspect, the security aspect. From the security aspect, I think one of the major problems the military seems to have now is the fact that there are two sets of military with two different ideologies and two different philosophies. There are those that are interested in making sure that banditry, terrorism, and kidnapping are dead in Nigeria, and they are doing all their best possible to ensure that that happens. And there are those that are sabotaging their efforts because they are informants, because they are moles right inside the same security formation. Now, what the implication of that is that when these good ones, for any reason, have good policy at the level of implementation, you will now see that information, critical, strategic information, are divulged. And if that happens, it becomes a major sabotage to the good ones, let me put it like that. And that is the problem with the military today as it is now. And to really solve this problem, now that is where the political angle comes. It will take the political class in terms of truly and genuinely being interested in resolving this whole thing, because they have the power to decide and also legislate. Now, it means that if there is no political will to turn the table around, those that are moles will continue to have their day. Why? Because they have the economic benefit to it. They also have the fulfillment of clandestine agenda to it, which becomes beneficial. Now, whether the political class will do it or not, it's a product of whether they are not beneficiary to either the agenda or the financial gains that are from the angle of those that are the bagged eggs in the military formation. So I think the whole thing now will now come back to the political class. To what extent have they been genuinely interested in truly ensuring that they look, the idea, then he said something now. As it is today, the bandits, Boko Haram and the like are emboldened. El-Rufai we are talking about today, I don't see him as a saint.
The governor
I see him
of
Kaduna. I see him as a governor that has been approbating and reprobating. Over the years, you would have seen that his utterances and his demeanor has emboldened the bandits to a large extent, that today it is now a monster, most probably bigger than what he expected. Now you've seen situation where even openly he had come out to say one or two things that are even supportive of some of these acts and activities in time past. But having said so, now as it is today, it means that the government itself must be serious about identifying the hideout of these people, put them on the run. It is not a rocket science. I may not be a field officer. Yes, I agree. I may not be a field officer when it comes to security, but I also understand very well that putting the adversary on the run does not really require a rocket science other than the proper strategic planning. Now, strategic planning with true political will to follow through. Once it is followed through, how many sleeper cells do we have in this country? Can DSS, for example, be bold enough to say we have X and Z sleeper cells in the country? If they've not been able to identify how many sleeper cells, how will they be able to overcome them? Because they break into different sleeper cells at different intervals. You know, as they move on, they also expand. Each person also want to have its own little group.
For the benefit of our viewers who are not professional security people, what exactly is a sleeper cell?
Now, there are two angles to it. A sleeper cell can be an individual. It can also be a group of people that are sympathetic to the cause of terrorism. Now, they could be individual, either in strategic offices, governors, ministers, senators, up to a houseboy or house girl that are strategically located. A sleeper cell can also be a group of people that are even in the forest, that are, you know, interested in doing all these things you call terrorism at different levels. Now, it's anybody or group of people that are sympathetic, not just sympathetic, that are also taking steps to ensure the actualization of terrorist acts and activities are categorized as sleeper cell. Now, how many of them do you have? You just will know of yourself Boko Haram, you talk about ECWA, you have identified them with ISIS, you have identified them with Al-Qaeda at one time or the other, and all those stuff like that. But I tell you the truth, now it has now broken down to banditry, it has broken down to herdsmen. Now that's at the operational level, but at government level, at what level has it broken down? How many of them are in the House of Representatives? How many of them are in the Senate? That when you want to pass law that seems to suppress the act of terrorism, they stand all out. They are academically sound. They are able to engage you intellectually. Meanwhile, they are sympathetic to the cause of these people, and they will stand with you. To what extent is the government able to use its own higher power and its own higher intellect to identify them and be able to feed those that have been fingered, for example, in sponsoring of terrorism financing? They are categorized as members of sleeper cell. Now, to what extent is the government able to come all out, not politically now, come all out to say, look, it's not until Dubai court or until foreign court and indict them, prosecute them, and sentence them. We that are the victim of this mayhem should be able to do the needful. To what extent today can you and I be able to conveniently say this is satisfactorily done on the side of the government?
You know, well, thank you. Let me go back to Dennis here. Dennis, what are your thoughts on the one, capability, two, readiness, if that capability exists, to do the needful on the part of government? Tony has been talking about political solution and all of that kind of a thing. I'm happy that he ended up with the Dubai situation where they have given us information. And what we've heard locally is we shall be investigating all of those things. We want to be very, very careful about. In short, what is government as helpless because of these sleeper cells that Tony was talking about? Just weigh in on it. Why do you think we have this situation? Because a lot of people think government is the almighty and can come down like a ton of bricks where it needs to do so. That doesn't appear to be the case with this particular government, this federal government.
Okay, well, first of all, sleeper cells are people, besides being sympathetic, they could even be fighting soldiers that have been embedded in society, and, you know, they live among people and usually are not known. And they could carry out their jobs or carry out any other occupation for a very long time before their commander calls them up. to come and act. So it's very, very difficult to recognize sleeper cells. It will take a lot of surveillance to find them out, but they do exist. And of course, that's the job of the security agencies, where they keep on smelling and smelling, and they smell them out or smoke them out. But, you know, the capability is there. One thing we've always discovered in Nigeria is that we always need that political will. Because, you see, if you don't, I still don't believe that, you know, a ragtag army or a ragtag band of Boko Haram people, as they started in Maiduguri. First of all, they were fighting with sticks and arrows. Then later they pick up, Dane guns and stuff like that. And today they are well equipped. Now, we allowed that kind of development to happen, because if we would have nipped it in the bud, then, of course, we will have that problem now. And then, of course, the ideological part of it, which has embedded, and that is why you have a lot of the sleeper cells in society now, sympathetic. I remember when the Niger Delta militancies were going on, we were able to identify two types of militants: the militants that are in the field, and then, of course, the intellectual militants who are all over the place, including overseas, you know. And those are the kinds of ones that, you know, are really doing the major work, because they also do financing. Just like Tony said, the terrorist financiers that we have right now. The Attorney General office is basically the office that handles all these ones. The security agencies can arrest and bring them in, detain them, but the prosecution and then, of course, the exposure depends on the Attorney General's office. So I hope that most of them, because if you don't expose them, we continue having this problem where many people believe that, you know, you can do something and get away with it. If the financiers have been arrested, I think the Attorney General's office should go ahead and do something, bring them out, you know, unmask them,
yes,
so that people will know exactly what is going on.
Okay, you know, Tony, the point that Dennis brings up, you heard the statement of the Attorney General. First of all, it was reported, and then there were also video clips of the man saying that he didn't want to be preemptive. We have information. This is not careless information. It's from a government of a foreign country. It was not just loosely brought up. It followed their investigation. Now it has come to us, and the story was saying the Attorney General's office effectively is in charge of how this whole matter, you know, how it goes from here. And it would seem, to those of us perhaps we're not professional enough, it would seem that, what are you being shy about? I mean, all you need to do is saying that, look, what is it that they say? Innocence is presumed.
Presumption of
yes,
innocence.
Until otherwise proven. But the Attorney General, no doubt going by the ethics or the rules of his own profession, is saying what he is saying. It does seem as if they know undue haste to name these people in the interest of protecting the innocent, should they subsequently come to be found not guilty. I like it that you're laughing, because that in itself is a commentary. But you heard Malami say as much.
Anyway, one thing we must understand about the law is that when it comes to government, there is no right that cannot be wronged, and there is no wrong that cannot be rightened. So if Malami is making some of these statements, it's either protecting his pot of soup, or alternatively, those whose names are on the feature of that are featured in that list are so powerful to the extent that is either his life is in danger, or alternatively they are part of his employers, or those that nominated him, and all those stuff like that. Now, there are many variables that are beyond law and legality that comes to play when you look and you listen to him. It is not ambiguous at all. You don't need to be a lawyer. You don't need to be a lawyer. You know, look at some things are subject to the mind and test of a reasonable man of mind. If people have been indicted and government officers have come to say that we know these people, these are their names, and that presumptuously that certain level of investigation have been carried out and they've been indicted in one way or the other, or they've been fingered in one way or the other, what you are expected to do as the Attorney General of the Federation is either of two. It's either you are asking the DSS, the FCC to carry out a further investigation on it very quickly. You are not going to make any statement as presuming that you are defending them. Alternatively, you take them to court. That is the normal thing. Now, but we have a situation where you have individuals that are bigger than the country, that are bigger than the institutions, and that's what we have. So much of impunity. Because that's the
impression it gives.
Yes, too much of impunity.
These people, it's not everybody you can step on their toes.
Simple, you know? So that you don't find yourself, you know, where you are not expected to, you know.
Let me hear it from Reverend Dominic. Good morning, Reverend Dominic.
Yori.
Yeah.
Good morning, Dr. Tony.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Dennis. Can you hear me, Yori?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
I want to tell my brother Tony to be a little bit careful. Yori, you remember 3 weeks ago, I made a contribution on this faith when you bring Alhaji, is it Subab or what? And I said that the governors of the Northeast or Northwest, they know people who is killing. Yori, that day, after that discussion, even though he maybe insult me, I don't care. I got 56 calls. 36 were my support. 20 were in support of. Why do I say that? Which means that what Tony is saying is true. There's a more in a nation. We're not fighting this, war as one nation. There are people who is against the war. There are people who is in favor of the war. So when you fight a war in a nation like this, and there's sabotage among you, it becomes more difficult than gun and helicopter. What I'm trying to say is this. In Kaduna today, El-Rufai is culpable. He was paying protection fee. He told us he went to settle Fulanis. Now, when the protection fee and the money paid Fulanis were not forthcoming, they began to blackmail him. But let me say this. Enough is enough. I'm a pastor. I'm not a traditional ruler. How come on earth that the bandits were bold enough to release our children in piecemeal, which means they're not under pressure, which means they're not under risk. If a criminal is under pressure, he can't put that character. And let me say this, Yori, let me say this to all nations. I don't believe the police report that the 3 men, they have caught them. That thing is what police always do in this nation. I don't believe that story. If you have caught 3 men among the bandits and they're still holding your children, what do you mean? You mean they're holding them on your own accord, or they're holding them for you? If you caught 3 men, 3 armed robbers among 30, 27 will pick to the heels because the life is at stake. Still, you caught 3 of them, that 27 of them are still holding their children and release them in piecemeal. What a laughable story. I don't believe that report. They can say anything. They can take me to court. That's the propaganda. That doesn't make sense. Tony, good morning. Dennis, good morning.
Okay then. Let me take a break here. Stay with us, please. We'll be right back and we'll continue to include your calls. Okay, welcome back. And in the meantime, Mohammed from Warri called in. Good morning, Mr. Mohammed. Mohammed in Warri. Good morning, sir.
Okay, good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you very much. Good morning to your guest.
Yes.
Good morning.
Please, my contribution, I just want to, on this Kaduna issue.
Yes.
You see, let us go back to this El-Rufai issue. It has really traded on social media a lot, but you see, there are some things that we say, we use what we know to get to what we don't know. You see, there is a fact. In 2011, Yakoa of blessed memory became governor. And before, in the process of him becoming governor, there was a kind of crisis that happened around that southern Kaduna. And we know what people happen in Kaduna town, where the people of PDP supporters were attacked. I think the knowledge. PDP, whether they are Muslims or they are Christians, they were attacked. As far as you are supporting PDP, they were attacked. It's a knowledge, this one. even Sokoto, the Sultan, this was attacked. So I'm now using from knowledge now. What happened was that some Fulanis were attacked around that southern Kaduna because of wrong information here that time that about attacking Christians in Kaduna. So those Fulanis that were killed, this ECWA of blessed memory now came with a committee headed by one-time Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Defense Staff, that is General Martin Luther Agwai. And the committee, the recommendation was that they should pay those people who they killed their cows. Because they said they cannot bring human beings, but their cows they should be paid. And until Yakowa died and Ramala Yeru took over, he never did. They did not do to that. They did not see to compensate those people. Then when Erufai came, it was on the table. When Erufai came, he was the one that seemed to pay compensating people, and that was it about Erufai compensating bandits. So after that one, let us now go to this issue of this terrorism thing. I agree with what the guest was saying. I mean, no, the said. Yeah, he said, yeah, release them in peace. It means they're not under pressure. Honestly, we are disappointed at that. Because Kaduna has 1G, has Air Force, has a dog here. So it means these people are not under pressure for the citizens of better party to be released in peace way. So please, government should really double their efforts in that regard. Erufai's crime was when he started and shouting that he will not pay. That was when those people confessed and said, okay, let us. I remember one video where one man was saying, Mejigida Yashigo Kaduna. Mejigida means this weapon that you put on your neck like chain. He said that now they've got it in Kaduna. And they've already told us by bringing an airport plane down, we should know that these bandits or terrorists, the weapons they are holding is not small weapon. But where the weapon is coming from, whether it's the senators or whether the governors are the ones sponsoring them, honestly, I don't have any information on that. But unfortunately, sometimes we play with emotion. I remember Obadia Melafia, he came back and told us that a governor in the north is the one sponsoring this thing. Until Obadia Melafia died, I don't think probably even told his wife who was that governor. I'm not aware of that governor. So sometimes we came with emotional part of it and we came with the reality part of it. So me, we should just be careful in the public domain. It's not by force that if Mohammed is not guilty, for the fact that I hate Mohammed, I must make him guilty. I don't think that is the rule of the game. Thank you very much and good morning to your guest.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed. Well, Dennis, we go back to the point now. Where exactly are we now? By which I mean, are we condemned to be continuing like this? The bandits are running rings all around us. We change administrations. The situation is the same. You know, this administration, the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, a lot of people put a lot of hope that, look, with the pedigree of the president, he's a seasoned general, experienced and all of that, he doesn't stand for nonsense, etc., etc. They thought Buhari would make a difference. Even though Buhari and his men continue to say that the security situation is a far cry from where it was when they started out, well, the ordinary Nigerian, I don't think really understands that assertion. Because every day you wake up, you find another situation that has, quote unquote, messed government up. Lai Mohammed has stopped now. There was a time when Lai Mohammed was saying the bandits were on the back foot and, and all of that. Now he has stopped. So I'm asking you as a consultant, as a security consultant, Dennis, where are we now? Where are we? Give me your honest opinion. I'll come and ask the same of Tony. And how to come out of this.
All right. Thank you, Yori. What has happened in Nigeria is that the military, or should I say, well, the government is fighting this.
I beg your pardon, Dennis, I beg your pardon. Could I just interrupt you and take Ada, who was already on the line from Jos? I'll come straight back to you after that. Good morning, Ada.
Good morning. Thank you for putting a break. Well, let me not burn all my credit because of Nigerian problem. Good morning to your guests. Thank you very much. Your guests have said it all. You know, I've said it times without number that there's a problem we have, just like exactly what your guests have said. You see, if we don't tackle this issue with that is sincerity of purpose, we will not get it right. For instance, all this shutting down of them for 2 weeks and extended and all that, I should have said that they should have done it in a coordinated form, and all those states are joining it. They should have done it at the same time, even if it means shutting for 1 month. And I would like a decision if it's possible to get mercenaries who will be neutral, because our soldiers are dying. Most of them are committed to this cause, you know. And since we know there's no way to find out the ones that are sabotaging and all that, the most, then let us have mercenaries that come and do this thing, even if it's 1 month. Let them come and do this once and for all, if there's that political. But if there's none, the propaganda is still going on. I listened to the speech of Mr. President in the United Nations. In fact, I was disgusted, you know. Can you imagine? The bandits are attacking only soft targets. Is it true? They are attacking military bases, killing soldiers in drones, and we are talking about that they are attacking only soft targets, you know. So I think there's a lot of mix-up there. Yeah. There's this religious angle to it, you know, and all that, ethnicity. So let them get mercenaries who will be neutral. They want to come and do the job and get their money. But we keep on saying we don't need them. We need them now, because the thing is good. Okay, look at, I couldn't believe it when I heard one of the northern governors say that why they don't want a southern president. I don't know if you heard that. That's what they said. I heard it, there was air. That why they don't want a southern president, that they cannot handle banditry. That if they come, the terrorists, that the northerners will say that they are killing their people. So what are you talking about? That's exactly what happened during Jonathan's time. When he wanted to do this, nip it in the bud, they refused. They said they were killing them. They used those that they have now. We're saying that they want to kill all of them. They want to whatever Islam. You know, I don't know. We are really in a street. It's really unfortunate. Yeah. God bless Nigeria. Let's not give up on this country. Thank you very much, Ada. Back to you, Dennis, and maybe you'll also pick up the point Ada made about what's the question on mercenaries. Mercenaries. Okay. Well, let me go to the other one first. You see, where we find ourselves is a very bad place. Nigeria has found itself, because when you look at it, we are. If you take the heat map of Nigeria, you know, what we call a heat map, and then look at it, you find out that there is no peaceful state in the country. Everywhere is engrossed in one form of insecurity or the other. Yeah. So you find out that we are in the midst or at the crossroads where a lot of things are happening. Our soldiers are thinly spread, because besides the terrorism they are fighting, they are also taking part in internal security in 36 states of the country. And then, of course, the police itself, you know, which is inadequate, underfunded, and they are very, very thinly spread. So we are finding ourselves in a very bad place. And then, of course, to turn this around will take serious political will, and then, of course, sitting down and re-strategizing. Because right now, many people don't know this, but a lot of things are going on in the northwest, where the military has really bared down on Zamfara, Katsina, and then, of course, Niger State. Kaduna, I think they are going to move in there, because most of the bandits are also crossing into that area. So as they fight, we, the ordinary Nigerian, just like you said, might not have a feeling, or when they look at it, it becomes very painful, especially when you are concerned with either somebody who was killed or somebody who has been kidnapped recently, directly. You know, you can feel it. But I believe strongly that, you know, the military is doing the best they could, but it is very, very difficult. Very, very difficult, because they don't have the manpower. And then, of course, the equipment that they have, they really, in fact, we just got the Torcanos. You already remember the Torcanos? They are in now,
But they really have to understand them and they use them properly. Because, you know, we don't want to have a repeat of what happened in the Yobe State.
Yeah.
So these are the situations that we find ourselves in now. Then talk of mercenaries. You know, mercenaries are soldiers of fortune. You know, and they can do two things. Yes, Nigeria can have them. They can come in quietly and do what they have to do quietly and go out quietly. Like when Jonathan had them. President Jonathan invited them to come from South Africa. But right now, we might also have to contend with a situation where our own military might be feeling that, look, why are we getting mercenaries? Why are we not spending that money on ourselves?
Yeah.
You know, to either modernize our equipment and fight the fight. Why give it to foreigners that will come here and take it and go away? So these are the pros and cons of having mercenaries. But if you want to stop this, you have to take that decision, have the willpower and say, let's do this in 2 months, and we do it in 2 months and it's all over.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. You know, when you think about it, Ada brought up the whole matter about when President Jonathan you know, went that route. The complaint was that, you see now, they're wiping us out, they're killing our people and all of that. I don't know, and as Tony, as Dennis has also said, soldiers of fortune, they're not exactly cheap, I would imagine, I'm guessing, because you sign up, you might come back, you might not come back, even though you're trained to always come back. What do you think, what would be your argument both for and against our mercenaries?
I think I've done this before on the issue of mercenaries, and some of us are not very strong advocates of mercenaries. In as much as I agree with...
let me do it to you, what I did to Dennis.
I will. Okay.
You know, Ibe is calling in from Port Harcourt. I'll come straight back to you. Good morning, Mr. Ibe.
Hello.
Hello. Quickly, please, go ahead.
Yes, I want to contribute to the conversation being held.
Go right ahead, please. Go right ahead, please, Mr. Ibe.
Hello. Hello. Good morning. Thank you, Uncle Yomi.
Thank you, sir.
Please. Yes, they call for the issue of banditry and the rest of them from in the north is becoming something that we cannot bear. The bandits are moving from one state to another. The army is overstretched. I don't know what the Minister of Information will tell us now. He is not speaking again. We thought that by now the bandits and the Boko Haram people would have been eliminated in this country.
Okay.
But every day we hear of ambush. Every day we hear of ambush. What are we going to do?
Oh, okay, that's exactly the point we were trying to get to. Sorry, thank you very much for calling in, Ibe. That's exactly the point that Tony was going to sort of address. Thank you very much for calling in. As I was saying,
okay, yes,
for and against this issue of bandits, mercenaries.
Mercenaries.
I mean, to do something.
Mercenaries basically are soldiers, in most cases retired soldiers that are brought in to do some clandestine operations, specific operation and get out within a specific time frame. And like you have rightly identified, it is not just expensive, it is very expensive. But another thing about mercenaries is that mercenaries cannot also work successfully without the input of the on-ground military formation. That's just the truth about it. There must be some strategic input from the soldiers that are on ground within that very locality. Now, having said so, the question will now be, to what extent are you able to trust the soldiers on ground to give the right information? Now, it's a good thing when you have people that have the political will to do it. But the problem is always, like Reverend Dominic said, and that will be the problem with the mercenary if we are bringing it into Nigeria. We have people that are interested in making sure that this war ends. And we have some other group of people that are highly placed that are also interested in making sure that the war does not end. Now, what gives you the impression that it is not those that are interested in ensuring that the war does not end are the same people that are going to either contract the mercenary, or that the people that are going to sabotage the effort of the mercenary? Now, if you look at what Jonathan was trying to do then, it was sabotage at the end of the day. Now, look at what the woman that called Ada said. You know, the problem always is, if you have that some governors came and say Southerner cannot rule, because they cannot, because there will be the accusation that they are killing their people. But whether it's a Southerner or it's a Northerner, as we speak today, people are dying. And the people that are dying are predominantly Northerners and some selected parts that are, you know, perpetrated by bandits all over the country. Now, having said so, I think what makes sense the most is that whether mercenary or no mercenary, I don't believe in it, because I believe in the capability of our military. Look, the military, soldier, navy, air force, they can do it. In short, I've never been in doubt about that. I've never been there. My problem is always, and will always be, for now, I don't know if I will change my mind tomorrow, it's always with the political class. Political infusion, political interruption, political whatever into security has been the problem. It's not as if the service chiefs you are talking about are not intelligent. It's not as if they don't know what they want to do, or they don't know what to do. It's not as if the boys that are deployed there don't know what to do. But the problem is always at the level of execution of certain strategy. It's either that it's been sabotaged, like you talk about ambushment, you know, and all those stuff like that, that will now endanger the lives of these boys. Now the strategists, the service chiefs and the like, they have put their head together, they have brought up policies and the like, and they expect the boys to implement it, and they are these naughty human beings within this security formation that will make a mess of all those. So at the end of the day, so
we're sabotaging ourselves.
Sabotaging ourselves, killing ourselves for selfish interests.
Maazi Okorafor, thank you very much for holding on all that while. Go ahead now, please.
Good morning, Sayori. Good morning, I guess. Sayori, my brother, both Sky and the studio. There is no need of waiting. The governors, as a matter of urgency, this is terrorist attack, whether let us forget about government. What we should be talking about, what are the solutions we do ourselves, because the military alone cannot do it. The hunters, we are talking about this, the hunters, all these Bengal, they should give them, let them go and comb all the evil forests, all the forests in all the local government. That is the only solution. If we continue talking from now to tomorrow, we are just going back to square one. Unless the hunters are ready, governors, local government chairmen, councillors, give the hunters their job, give them their let them enter the bush. By the time they enter the bush, everybody, that is, they should make it compulsory that all the states in all these geopolitical zones should do what? Start the operation the same day. I'll bet you there will be no thing like government inside in the bush. But if it's only that's what I say we do now, then Kaduna will do later, it's not possible. So the later that let everybody, all the hunters, enter the bush anything from October 1st. From all our bush. So this we failure to do that, we'll continue getting gunmen, gun women, gun old men, and gun anything we call it. They are all terrorists. Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos. God bless all of us.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Maazi. Dennis, recently I saw one of those WhatsApp video where some soldiers arrested a bunch of women smuggling, of all things, PMS of all things, PMS in their head packs. I remember that because just about everybody apparently throughout all this society, the strata of society, is involved on the terrorist side. They might not even know that they are terrorists. I don't know how you look at it. So maybe it's that embedded. And is this a problem? Because you know, there are rules of engagement. Perhaps the military people cannot go out as we would think and mow down everybody there. And give me your comments on Maazi Okorafor's suggestion that let our military men, our security men, let them move into the territories that these bandits, terrorists like, aka the forests. Why won't they be able to move into the forests and make the forest unbearable for them?
Yori, they are already in the forest. In Zamfara, they are in the forest. Katsina, you know, even in the northeast, there's a forest fight that they are doing right now, you know. But let's go back to the one of the 3 young girls that are shifting some PMS.
Yes.
You know, those are the symptoms. Those are the symptoms. We cannot even start parading those ones, you know, because the real deal is the people that are the bigger ones that are moving trailer trucks of PMS into the bandits area, and then of course giving them all kinds of, because think about it, you have about 200 motorcycles coming into a school, or with Hilux cars picking up children at a time. 200. You know, have anybody really sat down to think about it?
Tony is so depressed. You know, Tony, lift up your head.
Yes. What the logistics will be to move 200 children, you know. These are a lot. All of them are going to be fueled, and then, of course, they will carry them out of the place. And they've done it many, many times. So we have all this. Now we're talking of terrorist financing, where a lot of, when it's not just those who transfer the bulk money and all the rest, like the people they caught in Dubai and stuff, because there are people that are already involved in it, villagers who are supplying them food, where some little girls like that who are moving in the fuel, the PMS, for a fee. And, you know, little things that people do, because the terrorists are not just sitting down there. They have a supply chain. And, of course, the military should look at that supply chain and cut it off. And when they cut it off, I think they will starve them of so many things. But the way I don't want us to continue the fire brigade approach to this. You know, there should be strategy. And I know that they are doing it. But they have to, you know, I think we need to give them time anyway, because the new service chiefs have done a lot more than the previous ones, and you know, let them continue what they're doing.
Dennis, I want to thank you very much. We're going to have to leave it there. Our former Assistant Director of DSS and Security Consultant, thank you very much for joining us this morning, Dennis.
Thank you for having me, Yori.
Indeed. And the same we say to our dear friend, Dr. Tony Ofoyetan, lawyer and Director General, Institute of Professional Security. It's a bit depressing, but we don't have a choice. We have to talk about this.
Pray, keep talking and keep praying.
Indeed.
We know that God will intervene.
Even the soldiers themselves, they pray.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
All right, that's our program then. See you tomorrow, God willing, with a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.